Hmm. Hello, everyone. This is Eric from Etiquette on the Sunday live stream. I always start a couple of minutes early just to get into it and chat a little bit and share some things so that by the time most people get here, that I can start with the topic for today, which is lesson planning. I think it's a very important topic, and I'm so glad that somebody brought it up. But first, if you're here, please say hello so that I know who I'm talking with. Yeah, I was just on Facebook and I saw this very funny quote. It said, "The sun is also alone, yet it still shines." And I think that's such a great quote. Okay, hi guys. A lot of people here. Put hi in the chat if you've got any questions. If you want to share anything, feel free to put it in there. Soul, good to see you. Oh, Paul. My brother Paul, Soul, good to see you. Always like seeing you here. I subscribe to you, but you should put more videos out. Paul, always nice to see you. How's the audio? So recently I bought a new laptop. I got a new mic and a new webcam. So it should look a lot better than it used to. What do you guys think? Does it look better? Worse? Yeah, so before, I'm good. I'm good. Bushra, nice to see you. How are you doing? In sunny South Africa. Actually, I heard some bad news yesterday. Yeah, thanks, Sol. Yeah, it's a brand new laptop. I hope I can do something. I heard some bad news yesterday. So I live in South Korea, in Daegu, which is where the coronavirus hit the worst in Korea. And I was on Facebook and I saw this news article come out on the South Africans group that one South African got the virus in Korea, and they also said the name. The name is one of, and I was shocked because it's one of my friends that got the coronavirus. They were leaving the country in Seoul, and in Seoul they measured him, and he had a fever, a mild fever, and they tested him, and he tested positive, and now he has to stay. He's quarantined, so he can't leave. So that was very shocking. I spoke to his mom. Yeah, it's he's going to be fine. He should be there for 2 to 3 weeks before he should be cleared. But it just made me realize how important it is to stay safe. How about you guys? Are you guys okay? So I've decided that I'm not going to go into town. I'm just going to stay in my own area. Yeah, that's it's very scary. But the thing is, I was surprised because he didn't tell me anything. So apparently, the thing is, when you teach abroad at some of these companies, these academies, they can screw you over sometimes. Sane, hi Sane, where are you from? I think it's the first time seeing you. We should drink more water, right? Yeah, we should drink water and just stay safe. Avoid public places. Sane, where are you from? So today I'm going to talk about lesson planning, but before I do, I chat a little bit and see what you guys are up to. Yeah, and even for myself, because of this virus, the university, so we're going to have a later start to the university. We're going to start only in end of March, which is a month that we have to wait. But the university told me that we have to start preparing, get some brandy house for everything. Maybe I need to, I'm what's it called? Munchausen's? Munchausen's syndrome is where you feel like if you hear about a sickness and you think you have it. So a lot of people want to go and get tested because they think they have it. And even for me, I worry, is my temperature okay? Oh yeah, I'm from South Africa, but I'm living in South Korea. Yeah. How about you, Sol? Where are you from? Sane, how about you? Where are you from? So now I have to prepare some classes for my university. Thank you, Sol. If you post some videos and I see them, I'll definitely like. So I have to start preparing a lot of online classes, and I think it's about time. Oh yeah, Sol, you told me Pakistan. Well, it's nice to have someone that also loves cricket. So we have to prepare online classes for our university, which will be a first for me. But I think with YouTube and with practicing speaking in front of the camera, I feel more confident in doing that. So yeah, I feel like for the past year I've been doing YouTube, and it's been very difficult to stand in front of the camera and deliver lines or to talk live. But I think as soon as I started doing that, I can feel my confidence building, and I'm starting to speak more clearly too, I hope. Yeah, so I would encourage you guys too to start practicing speaking in front of cameras, because as teachers, that might be the way that things go these days. Actually, in Korea, a lot of companies are telling their employees to stay at home and to work from home, because usually if you work in an Asian company. Hi, Noramad. Noramad, nice to meet you. Oh, your whole family. Sol, tell your family I love them. Thank you very much. Noramad from Indonesia. Nice. Hello. Whereabouts in Indonesia? Which city? Um, yeah, so I would say everybody, we should try and practice this, because in Korea the employees are staying at home, working from home. And in the past, if you work in an Asian company, you work very late hours because you have to work until your boss leaves and then you can go home. So normally Asian people work the whole day, even late into the night. But now, because of coronavirus, they stay at home and they work online. And a lot of people actually think it's something good that happened because of Corona, that now they can work online, instead of going to their company. They're living happy lives because they can do most of their work online from the comfort of their home. Even for teachers, right now, I think online teaching is going to get even bigger, because I should do live on Facebook. Sol, in the future, I will prepare for that. I'm not ready yet, but I will, and I'll let you know. Um, so yeah, I think as teachers, we should start practicing for online. I'm very excited to start doing some online things with my university classes, and I'll share my ideas with you guys. Okay, so 5 minutes are gone. I think it's about time to start talking about lesson planning. Is the sound okay? Okay, now lesson planning is something that many new teachers struggle with. You get into the school and your boss tells you, from Morocco. Hi. Well, welcome from Morocco, Saneh. Yeah, if you have any questions, guys, if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything, put it in the comments and I'll read it and I'll talk about it. Usually during my videos, I talk about the topic and then I go off topic and I talk about your question. From Afghanistan. Well, do you, do you enjoy your life now? So, beauties or Noramad said that he used to live in Afghanistan, but now lives in Indonesia. And from Hungary, nice. Hi. Actually, I'm thinking of going to Hungary for this in August, July and August. I want to do a small trip in Eastern Europe. That's one of my plans. So yeah, maybe come to Hungary. I've always wanted to go. Okay, now lesson planning, guys. Most new teachers start. They go to school and they are required to to start making lesson plans and to finish their curriculum. And their boss or their HOD, their head of department, basically tells them, listen, you have to get your files together. You have to do your planning for the semester and for each lesson. And a lot of people want to do it right, but there are so many new terms and they're not sure how to do it. Now, today, I want to share how to just make a basic lesson plan and do it in such a way that it helps you. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, I wrote it down there. When you make a lesson plan, why do you make a lesson plan? It's so that you know exactly what you're going to do in your lesson. It's there to help you, but it's also there to serve as evidence. If someone from the government comes and they want to look at your books, what have you been doing? This serves as evidence of what you've been doing in class. And even the principal or your head of department or your subject head comes to you and says, Eric, what have you been doing in your classes this semester? You take out your file, you say, okay, we've been doing these lessons. It's very important. Okay. Okay. So you're new there. Okay. So what are you studying? So, yeah. So Let me just read it again. Noramad said that it's quite difficult in Indonesia because they're refugee. Oh, that's so tough to hear. Traveling so far to become a refugee. But I mean, Noramad, now you're studying and you're trying to become better. So I think that's really good. You know, you want to improve yourself, and I really respect that. Okay, now lesson planning. So lesson planning, it's good for you, and it also helps you get an idea of what you want to do with your classes. First, title. What is the title? What are you going to talk about? What is the lesson about? Also, a good idea is write the date for it. Then, very important, what is your objective? What is your learning objective? Sometimes they call it LO, sometimes, you know, your learning goal or your objective. Now, very important, your learning objective is what you want your students to learn, and it should be the SMART. You all know a SMART goal. It should be specific, it should be measurable, achievable, it should have results and time bound. So you have to have this idea of what you want students to learn. Nazar, nice to see you. Okay, Bushra, I hope I can share some good ideas. Nazar, how are you doing? Always nice seeing your name. Okay, so you should have an idea of what you want your students to do. And I think the best thing to do is to have, you know what a cool chart is? KWL chart. It's what do you want students to know? Juvia, I haven't seen you in ages. Yeah, I've been good. Yeah, I'm a bit worried. Actually, I just said that here in Korea, one of my friends got the virus, and they're at the hospital now in quarantine. So I'm a little bit worried. Yeah. Okay, but it's so nice to see you. I'm just talking about lesson planning. Yeah, how have you been, guys? I hope you've been well. I think Japan's not that bad except for the boat, right? Yeah, for me, I'm just staying at home. I'm trying to stay safe. But I was so bad today. I had so I've been working on a script for between moaning and whining. Oh, that's good. Moaning and whining. Moaning is just in general, I guess. You know, you moan about something. Whining is if you do it to get some attention or towards someone. I'm guessing. Um, don't quote me on this. This is just a guess, okay? Difference between moaning and whining. What a great question. Guys, if you know, put it in the comments. What is the difference between moaning and whining? I feel like whining is more, you know, it's more of an irritation towards someone, and you're whining. Moaning is just in general, I'm guessing. Juvia, all the schools here are closed. Yeah. See, that's so difficult. I was just saying, all the schools right now in Korea, they're also closed. And as teachers, we need to start preparing for teaching online, because I can see it moving that way. Even for myself, I have to start making classes now too. Whine and moan whine is long drawn, high pitched. Yeah, sound, while moan is low, mournful cry. Yeah, I can see that. But when you talk about moaning and whining, it's more of complaining and being unsatisfied. But I definitely think with whining, it's this high pitch I can see. Okay. I think Bushra, sorry, you're busy taking notes and I'm talking about something else. Yeah. Let's think about this. Oh yeah. So by the way, lesson planning. Now you have to think, what do you want your lesson to be about? And I would suggest thinking of the cool charts. You know, the KWL. K is what do the students know? What do you want them to learn? W, and then L, what have they learned? So always think, okay, so what knowledge do the students have? What do they need before this class? What do you want them to learn during this class? And what do you want to learn in the future? So always have that in mind. You know, think about what the students need to know, and what they will learn in this class, and what they will learn in the future. So you know how it goes, you know, because often as teachers, too fast to make any virus. So maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, now, so always have that in mind. Many teachers, they start teaching and they just think of these random things. You know, I'm going to do a lesson on this, I'm going to do a lesson on that. But the best teachers always think, okay, what am I teaching right now? What knowledge do the students have in the past, and what do I want them to learn in the future? Okay, so that's the objective. Then standards. I didn't write it down there, but I'm going to mention it now. Every province or every state has standards which are linked to objectives. Okay, yeah, Juvia, sorry, yeah, especially if I start talking about other topics, but I hope I can share some ideas. But so you've got your lesson objective and you've got your standards. I admire your manners, gross fingers. What? I'm not sure what this is. Oh, my crossed fingers. I admire your manner. Crow's fingers? I'm not sure what that means. Okay, anyway, so we have standards that we have to have in every school that comes from the government, because when you do standardized testing, they will test for it, so you need to prepare your students. Usually you can get some kind of government form with all the standards for different things. Just learn those, and during the course of the year, you have to find those standards. So when you do a lesson, make sure you have an objective you want your students to learn, and it's also connected to the standards. Okay, good. Everybody still with me? Everybody still okay? Okay, let's continue. Now, what do you need next? Now, let's have an overview. Before you start planning your lesson, you have to think, what do the students need, right? So what material do you need? They need. You can write down they need books or PPT or whatever you need for your lesson. You can also put technology under it. Will you use a computer? Will you use something else to do it? Then I want to mention something very quickly before we get to the timeline. And this is very important in education right now, and it's called differentiation. You've probably heard this before. Differentiation basically means you make content available to all students. That means that if you do a lesson, you should have a few ways to do it so that all the students can learn, because students have different ways of learning. So by doing a lesson in a few different ways, they can all learn from it. And that's basically differentiation. It's you use different techniques and methods to reach the students. You can also think of students with learning disabilities. How can you make this content available for them? And also perhaps English learners, that second language speakers. How can you make it easier for them by giving them vocabulary and sharing that with them? Iqbal, hi. Out of 100% student-centered method, I would say at least 70%. It depends on the topic. So Iqbal has a great question. He says, so out of 100%, how much should be student-centered method? So in any lesson, if you can get the students to come from their own experience and share their ideas and work on their own, you should do as much as possible, but it's not always possible to do that. I mean, if you have some content that you actually have to teach them or lecture to them or demonstrate to them, it will take up more time. But I would say around 30-70. The less you speak, the more successful your classes are. I'm guessing it could be 20-82, but you should try and push it up to at least, I think, 20%, 80%. Nazar, your question is taking into account different levels. Very important. Listen, you should have a fairly idea of where your students are, the high students and the lowest students. And I think you want to be hitting that not exactly in the middle, but a little bit higher, so that it's possible for the lowest students to get there, and the students that are higher, they can also learn and grow a little bit too. You should have some activities that can, some differentiation to help the younger learners and also the higher learners, the higher level learners, for them to explore and learn new things. You know, so you should have some more extra activities for them too. How to start? Yes, Aruba. I'm going to. Oh my I'm going to say it again. Oh my Mayma. Mayma's corner. Hi, I love your messages. Thank you so much. Ruba, I'm going to get into that now. We're going to start with how to start the class. But first, I just want to say, I talked about differentiation. Differentiation is using different ways to reach students. But I also want to mention scaffolding. Now, you've heard of scaffolding. Scaffolding is if you give different parts to students to build them up to get it. For example, if you're going to do a reading activity with them, first you're going to do some kind of vocabulary exercise, you can do some kind of grammar exercise, you can give different parts of reading to the students for them to read, and you bring it all together so that they can build up to learn that. Where differentiation might be that you give different types of reading to different students, where you have the lower level students reading something simpler about the same topic, higher level students maybe something different. So differentiation and scaffolding are very similar, but they are a little bit different where, the way that you do it. Okay, just remember, as teaching, we should provide multiple avenues for learning, for the content that you give, the activities that they do, and also the assessment at the end. Migam, hi. Okay, yeah, Ruba, thank you so much. I'm going to get started with that now. Migam, how are you doing in Jinju? I'm still here in Daegu, still a little bit worried. Maybe for the next month or so, we will have to stay inside, right? How have you been? Okay, guys, if you have any questions, if you want to talk about anything, please put it in the comments. I love reading it. And what do you think of the quality of the webcam? I'm so proud of this. You can see it does the auto focus. Yeah, and the laptop. I was a bit bad today. Sometimes we procrastinate. It's difficult to get motivated. This whole day, I planned to shoot some videos. I was working on scripts, and then I went for a walk, and then I just couldn't start shooting. I was just, yeah, Bushra, thank you. If anything, at least I could say the quality is very good of this now. But yeah, I didn't do anything. I prepared for this live stream. I researched a little bit, and but I didn't shoot the video. So I feel like I failed my Sunday. How about you guys? Did you have a good Sunday? Did you have a successful Sunday? Juvia, actually, I was worried with the low resolution cam. At least you don't see all the mistakes and the blemishes on my face. But now with the high quality, you can see every single crack. Not so as they go, but we have patients too. Oh, in Jinju too. So for you guys who don't know, we have South Korea. I live in Daegu, which is in the center, and Migam lives in Jinju, which is at the bottom, close to Busan. Yeah, just stay safe, but at least don't worry too much. Now, oh, you're in Ulsan. Okay, sorry, Migam, you're in Ulsan. Yeah, Ulsan. Yeah, it's just next to Busan, still a little bit north. Umaya, how are you doing? Umayma, I need to say it well. Umayma, how are you doing today? I love your messages. Thank you so much. Now, guys, let's jump into timeline. Now, this is the most important for every teacher. It's basically with your lesson planning, you're going to say, what are you going to do when? And as a teacher, if you have a structure to your class, when you walk inside your class and I'm going to do this, then you feel much more confident and also comfortable in your classroom. So from your very first class, try and work on getting a structure. It's great for you, and it's also good for the students to have that routine too. So really work on that. Okay, so for example, my timeline, I'm going to say there are 5 things. The first one is it's always, your warm-up. How can you start the class and get the students interested in the activity? You can have some kind of, play a fun game or show them a video or, get them engaged. The first 5 minutes are so important. Hello, Mom. Nice to see you. Yeah, the first 5 minutes are so important to get in there and get their attention and also prepare them for the rest of the lesson. Many times students just immediately start teaching, and that's a big mistake. Try and get the students settled, try and get them engaged in that. Humans don't just switch on like this. We need some time to warm up, and that's what this is for. So have a warm-up activity, and it can be anything to do with the vocabulary or the learning. You can even engage prior learning. You can say, okay, everyone, let's quickly talk about what we learned last week. Let's split up into groups. I will get something back from you. So whatever you can do to warm them up for what they're about to do in this class. Then the next one, that is now, so you finish the activity, you say, okay, everyone, take a seat. Now, let's start teaching. And this is your teaching part. We talk about student-based learning, but the teacher still, there's still a role for a teacher to lecture and to teach and to talk. The Socratic method. The Socratic method is, asking questions and talking. So you're going to start teaching the material. Remember to ask some questions to make sure that the students are following. And this is your main lecture part. You can also do it through, like I said, presentations or demonstration. You can demonstrate how to do something. If you're a maths or science teacher, you can show something to that and explain it to them. But this is where you teach and you tell them what they need to know. Now, you do that for, I would say, about 15 to 20% of the class, and then you switch to the activity. The activity is where the students practice. They practice and they try and learn and they work together. You can do individual activities, you can do peer activities, group activities, but this is where they take the information that they've learned from you, and they can also, now they have to start using it on their own to practice with it. Okay, Megam, your question. Speaking of differentiation, you will not want to make different materials, let's say 3 levels, then how can, differentiate. Okay, so differentiate is maybe, you take the same material, but you ask them to do different topics on it, or you can have different ways of presenting it. Maybe you read it to them, maybe, they read parts, maybe, you can differentiate different things. You can differentiate the content. This is what you're talking about. Should we write 3 different content things that they can do? You can do that. The activity, you can change the activity. You can differentiate. Maybe some students are better working in groups. Maybe some students are better doing a more physical, kinesthetic activity. Maybe some students like listening or watching videos. So you have different ways that you can show to them. And then also the assessment, you have 3 different ways that you can assess them. They can have a journal, or they can do a presentation, or they can have some way for them to do it. How do I plan to teach? Okay. So, I think one of the, Ruba asked, how can we apply our lesson plans for teachers that don't have enough time to teach? And I found this a lot, where the people, your principal and your subject head and your government, they want you to prepare these long lesson plans. But maybe you only have 40 minutes in class or 30 minutes in class. How do you do that then? I think one of the most important things as a teacher is being able to, manage your time, to have better time management. And I think, so let's say, for example, I have 5 things that I do in class. Maybe make it shorter, have a quicker warm up, and then the teaching part is shorter, and then give them more time to practice. Ruba, I think it's just about, you don't have to go exactly to your lesson plan, but take into consideration the time that you have. I think most teachers, give yourself enough time to finish what you want them to learn, and then have a few minutes at the end where you can just check and review. Very important. So you have to manage your time better. Migam, yeah, so I hope you understand that differentiation can work in different ways. It doesn't have to just be the content, but it can be different things. Yeah, guys, please ask any questions if you want to. Sorry, I'm not smiling enough. I try and talk about everything very quickly. Yeah, hopefully it gets warm soon, because they said because of the virus, maybe it'll be better when it's warmer. That's why it's not really in the southern hemisphere. That's just a guess, I guess. Yeah. How about you guys? Do you have a busy week this week? Because for me, like I said, today I had to shoot a video. I didn't. Tomorrow I have to shoot the video. I have to get to the bank. I have to start preparing my lessons for university online. So that's going to be very interesting. I'll share them with you. And on Wednesday, I'll have the new video coming out. Okay, so we talked about having an objective. What knowledge should the students have? And then we started with the timeline warm-up. We said the students then do an activity. So the activity, the students do some kind of activity to practice what you've been teaching them. Then you want them to, then comes the assessment where you can see how the students are doing. This is where you check that they have reached the objective or the standard, and you can do it through, there are two types of assessment. What are the two types of assessment? It's formative and summative. Okay, so you've got, you've got your formative and summative. Formative is more like it's where you can check it through games or projects or presentations, or an exit ticket, or it could be peer, or it could be quizzes. It could be quizzes. It can be an exit ticket. Not Gyeongbuk Dae. I teach at Daegu Catholic University. Why? What's going on in Gyeongbuk Dae? Because that friend of mine that got sick, he lived very close to Gyeongbuk Dae, is a university name, and my friend lived very close to that university that got the virus. Yeah, I'm actually outside of town. I teach at Daegu Catholic University. Okay, so there are two types of assessment. Your formative is just, think of it as friendly assessment where you can see in class. And then your summative assessment is more based around marks, where it might be a test or report or project. So find a way where you can assess the students to make, it can also just be to check, if they do their activity, let them do their activity in front of the class. What I like to do is, so I said, we've got the warm-up, I teach the activity, they practice. What I like to do is with the assessment part, I pick some groups. I say, okay, this group, rock, scissors, paper, and the losing group has to do it in front of the class. I do it like that so that the students know that I'm going to call on them. This is very important, that the students know that they're actually going to have to perform in class. Okay, Juvia, you said, how do you deal with parents who expect their kids to be fluent in English in a year with only 2 45-minute classes in a week? Iko, good to see you. Demo lesson next week. Sure. Same thing. Iko, listening. Juvia, I'll get to you now. Iko, yeah, same thing. Have some kind of warm-up where you can perhaps, share some vocabulary with them. You can let them listen to some basic words, and then the active teaching, you teach them what you're going to listen to. You can bring up the topic, then they actually have the listening, and then they do an activity after the listening, and then you check that. So same, these stages, I believe these 5 stages you can use for any lesson, Juvia, you've got a good question. How do you deal with parents? I think I need to do a whole new video on it. It's something that, I haven't, since I've been teaching in Korea, I have to say it's not something I've had to deal with a lot. And I think for you, maybe it's a lot different. Yeah, with parents like that, I think, just reflect it back on them. Tell them, listen, can you really learn a language just with 2 short lessons a week? Can you become fluent? No, it depends on what they do at home. So, reflect it back on the parents. Tell them, listen, I'm doing the best I can. I've got this limited time. We're learning a lot. It's really going well. But if you really want your little Jimmy or little Sarah to do very well, you're going to have to encourage them to study at home, do online lessons, let them read for them at home, get the parents involved. Tell them, listen, you're putting all this pressure on me, but for you and your family, it would be even better if you practiced more at home, Migam, you okay? You're sighing? Why are you sighing? I just told you where I'm teaching from. Okay, now, then the review, I said that's the review is where you check that the students know everything, at the end of every class, you want to ask the students, what have you learned today? And I love going through class and saying, okay, guys, what did you learn today? Did you learn a new word? Did you learn some expression? Did you practice something? What did you learn today? So make sure to check on your students to review their knowledge. Yeah. Then this brings us to reflection, and this is very important when you do your lesson planning. Let's say you do slow clap. Perfect answer. Yeah, I think I'll do. I'd like to do a video in the future how to work with colleagues, and also one on parents, perhaps. Juvia also. I mean, dealing with parents. Ah, I see. Yeah, Migam, and Juvia. I think all over the world, it's the parents are so demanding, and it feels like it's almost like a game for them just to criticize teachers, because sometimes you get fantastic parents that are so helpful and supportive, and then you get other parents that criticize all the time, and then you get other parents that are never there. I'd rather have parents that criticize me and say, Eric, what are you doing? I can do this better. And at first I will feel really bad, and then I'll get angry, and then obviously I'm going to push myself to improve. But it's way better than parents that don't say anything at all. I feel, for the students at least. Yeah. So guys, I think, yeah, with those parents, just push it back on them, say, I'm doing my best. But if you really want to do something better, read to your child every night, or talk with your child every night. That'll be so much better. Yeah. What do you guys think? Okay. Now, I was talking about reflection. So when you prepare your lesson planning, obviously, you've got teachers don't have a lot of time, but before the semester starts, try and get a couple of, you get your curriculum, and then your monthly planning, or for your term, and then you can start getting into your weekly planning, and then finally you get into your lesson planning. Try and do your lesson planning for the week, and then after each lesson, you want to quickly reflect on the lesson. You can reflect and say, okay, what did I learn from this? What went well? What did I enjoy? What did the students really enjoy? What can I improve? What ideas do I have in the future? What do I take away from this? And you quickly make a note underneath. I think, when you teach something, especially as teachers, maybe you're teaching the same topic to different classes, right? Many times you have to teach the same thing year after year. So you're going to do that lesson again and again and again. And usually in a week, let's say in a week, I've got 4 classes that I have to teach the same lesson. The first lesson is usually, it's quite tough, because you get into it, you get a feel for the material and how to explain it. You get a feel for what the students get, how the students react to it and what activities work. And then the second class, you start implementing these ideas. The third class, that's when you hit, when you do really well. And then the last class, maybe you're a bit bored and it doesn't go that well again. But if you reflect on your lessons and you make a small note for future reference, you'll have that, and you can say, oh, I am improving as a teacher. Oftentimes we preach to our students. We say, okay, if you make a mistake, just fix it, and and work at it, make a note of that mistake you make. But even as teachers, we can tell ourselves, oh, okay, I made this mistake. In the future, I should fix it this way. But you're going to forget. If you make a small note in your planning, and the next year you find your planning again and you see that, you're like, oh yeah, I remember, I can do this again. And it also, if your boss is going to look at your lesson planning and they see, wow, this person is trying to improve, this teacher is actually a quality teacher, that they can say that's a sign of a quality teacher, right? Okay. Yeah. And what will you reflect on? You can say, did the lesson go on too long? Is there some parts that the students needed more help with? Some too easy? Are they interested? And did how many of the students reach the objective? Very important. Okay, guys, I've been talking non-stop. Thank you so much for everybody that's here and asking questions. Are there some questions or anything that you want to talk about this? I think this is about it. I could talk some more about it, but I think this is basically the most important thing. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that you want to talk about? Oh, yeah, there are some things that you can also do. What did I want to say? Yeah, I think as teachers, you know, that we've got so many responsibilities. Okay, Mom, thank you. Actually, this jersey, I've been, I felt bad because I've been wearing this every single live stream because it's so comfortable. Backward design, yeah, I've heard of. Is it also similar to? So Migam said, have you heard of backward design? Incorporating ICT, right? Actually, NASA, I think I should make this because I'm preparing to do a lot of online teaching. Maybe I'll definitely do something on ICT. I'm going to use it. I feel like Nazar, you and me, we might be linked, psychically linked, because I feel the same way. I should do something on ICT. Megan, backward design, is that like a flipped classroom where you design from the outside in? I have to say, I haven't really practiced anything like it. Most teachers, you know, we start getting into a routine and we do the same thing over and over again. But sometimes it's a good idea to try something new. So no, I haven't tried backward design or flipped classroom. I'm very boring. I like my structure to my classes like this, but I try and do a couple of new things every time. Okay, but guys, thank you so much for coming in today. I want you to stay safe and be happy. Today I didn't shoot the video. I'll shoot it tomorrow. Trent. Okay, Trent. Yeah, thank you for being here and thank you for saying hello. Yeah, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to put a last message in, hi, Saliha. We're going to go. But thank you so much for being here. Talk to you soon, Juvia. Glad to see you again. Oh, Salila, it'll come up now. I think hopefully it's got some good ideas. You can definitely watch it again. Migam and Naza, Juvia, thank you so much. And I'll put out the video on Wednesday and I'll see you next Sunday. Okay, everyone, have a fantastic day and night, and I'll see you next time. End.